adding whole number. So the adding rules, we're going to line up the numbers by place values, right? And then we're going to add by starting on the right, and then we'll move to the left. So let's look at some examples. So the first example, there was a foot parade. Which animals do you need to have a total of 13 legs? One may have multiple of one animal to get to 13 legs, and there could be multiple right answers. So this is actually one that you could do with, say, right, a classroom full of kids. So let's go over this. Right here we have a moose, which would have 4 legs. We have a ladybug, which would be 6. We have an ostrich, which would have 2 legs, right? These are all for the legs. Now, in case you didn't know, a snail technically has 1 foot, as they would say, so we can just say 1 leg. And then we have an octopus, which would be 8 legs. So how do we get to 13 legs using these different animals? So let's go ahead and use the ladybug first. So if we were to use the ladybug, so we have a ladybug. So we would say we have 6. But we need to get to 13. So let's go ahead and keep adding. Let's go ahead and actually add the moose next. So if we added the moose, right, so we have plus. So ladybug plus moose, so 6 plus 4. So that would be equal to 10. So we're not quite yet to 13. So let's go ahead and use, say, the ostrich and a snail. So we have the ostrich now and the snail. So now we have our ostrich and our snail. So let's go ahead and go plus 2 plus 1, which that would equal to 13, because if we count all the legs, so that's 6, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 legs, and we use 4 different animals. Now notice you could have done multiple different things. You could have used like 2 ladybugs and a snail, or maybe 3 moose and a snail, or 6 ostrich and a snail. Like, there's so many ways to see how we can get to 13 legs, which would be a really fun activity for a small classroom where you would have all these animals and you can have each animal on one card and they can kind of start adding them all up. And you could do this in groups, and it's just a way for children to explore numbers. Now, we would have our foot parade, right? We would have these 4 animals. So now let's look at the next example. Example 2. There's 2 preschool classrooms next to each other. One classroom has 18 children. The second classroom has 17 children. How many children are in both classrooms? So we're going to have to add these 2 numbers together. So we're going to go ahead and line up the place values. So we have 18 and then we have 17. Notice we have the 1s and then the 10s. And then we can go ahead and add, right? So we go 8 plus 7. We start on the far right, so we start with the 1. We get 15, so we put a 5 below because 5 is in the, right? If we have 15, this is in the 1s and this is in the 10s. So what we do is we actually take this 10 and put it right here. So then now it's going to be accounted for in the 10 spot, right? So we don't need it in the 1 spot, we need it in the 10. So we have 1 plus 1 plus 1, so that would be 3. So there is 35 children in both classrooms. Now let's look at the last example. Now let's go ahead and add these 2 numbers. So we have 376, 848. Now notice we did the 1s, 10s, and then the 100s. So let's go ahead and add. We'll start on the far right. 6 plus 8. Well, that's 14. So we have 4 1s. We have a whole 10s. We need to go ahead and place it in the 10 spot. 1 plus 7 is 8 plus 4 is 12. So that means we have a full 20. And then we have a whole 1 in the 100 spot. So that means we have, right? If there's 12 here, essentially if you did this, if you have 10 plus 70 plus 40, that's what we did on this column. So we said 10 plus 70 is 80 plus another 40 is 120. So we don't need to add the 0, right, to this one. It doesn't change anything there. But we have, right, this 20 here. So we put the 2 below, and then we're going to carry this 1, which goes right here. So now we have a 1 plus 3, so that's 4, plus another 8, which would be a 12. So we have 1,224 as our final answer.